Hello, Jim.
Hey, Brent.
Thanks for
It's
showing up for the Giveth study group today. Just me and you.
yeah, and we've been playing around here and having some fun, and we figured that even though it's the blind leading the blind here, that we might be able to share something worthwhile for people that are getting into this. It's March 4th, 2017, and it's 3:19 p.m. I guess we've been at it over an hour already.
It's turning out to be quite a study group, actually.
Yeah, well,
just to go back to where we started to where we're at now, it's been pretty educational. So,
yeah, well, we're learning about using the MyEther wallet and about the minime token. And let me share my screen here. And it all starts out with the article here on Medium from Giveth on the minime token open sourced. And first thing we did today was Brent wanted to find his Giveth token that he purchased, and so I went in and went to this and sent 5 Ether to this address, and I received 5 Giveth tokens in return. It was awesome, and I'll show you that in my wallet later. And we just set the gas limit to 13333, so that it didn't choke in there, and we got 1 Giveth for every Ether donated. Now, clicking on this, it's linked to the contract which they deployed for us, so we didn't have to deploy it. Last week, deployed it in my sandbox, and I was able to create a coin. This week, I deployed it in my sandbox and was not able to create a coin. I forget how I did it, but we'll get that straightened out at some point. Getting it listed in the sandbox was the issue. So that links to the contract here, which is a minime token contract that they deployed for us. But in order for us to create one of these, we need to go to the minime token factory. Okay, so Brent found it. It's under, we go to read contract tab. We get all the arguments here for the contract, and we get the token factory here, address, which we can click on the token factory, and then we can look at the token factory, and we can see there's the contract ABI here, which defines the interface to the contract, which is what we'll need when we go to MyEther wallet, and we click on the contracts tab, and we paste in the contract address for the token factory, and we paste in the ABI JSON interface, and then we click the access, and it gives us all the fields that we need to give it to create the Divvy token. And I put in all 40 zeros here because you need that on EtherCamp. I don't know if we should, I'm not going to try it with 0x0 should work by itself. You shouldn't need all 40 zeros. And the snapshot block, I'm putting a 0. Token name, I'm making Divvy. Decimal units, I'm making 18. which apparently is, I could look back, but I think that's the same as Divvy token. Let's just look at that. Oops. There's, yeah, they did 18 for the decimals. And the Divvy symbol, I don't know if we're going to leave that as Divvy or should we make that DVY?
The whole thing will show up. At least people will get the full name if you go with the full one. I think
Well,
those three.
I noticed here they for Giveth they put the token they put in GTH.
Okay.
3 digits. So I'm going to take that as a practice. 3-digit token symbol.
Okay.
You know, the token name is Divvy.
Yeah. Okay.
Transfer enabled true. Okay, so we're going to write this now. It's not asking me for how much gas. Right? Aha, amount to send 0. Gas limit. Comes up with a pretty big gas limit here. Okay, so we're going to generate the transaction. And we have the raw transaction text here, and we have the signed transaction. And we're saying, yes, I'm sure, make the transaction. Boom. We have a transaction ID submitted. View your transaction. Hello.
Got kicked.
Okay, so we submitted the transaction.
You just click write? Is that what you just did?
What?
Did you just click write? WRITE?
I clicked right, and then it showed me the JSON version of the transaction and the other transfer, and it says, "Are you sure? Go ahead," or "No, get me out of here."
Okay.
You're about to make a transaction on Ethernet using a node provided by MyEther Wallet.
Did you have to pay gas at that? I guess you would have.
Well, I
transaction.
paid gas. Now, did you the gas? That's it seems like a lot of gas. Now, I had to send 0 Ether. And I guess I'll get the gas used at the end. Encountered, oh, I'm out of gas.
That's not the first time you've been out of gas.
I like that, so I fail.
It's not raining.
DVY. True.
Enabled true.
What happens if you put false? Why do they even have a false?
Then I can't. Then we can't trade them. Not tradable.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you could be awarded them, which is kind of cool. In fact, when I set up our chain, I can create a token which is not tradable, which can show how much they've earned, which can give them a vote, by working, I don't know.
Gotcha.
That
way they don't sell their vote away.
They can't sell
Remain
their
a
vote.
right.
Right. That's interesting. You issue everybody one, and they got to vote. Can't trade it. Sweet. Good idea. Select wallet file. Open. Unlock. Right. So I'm going to try 40 with 5 places. Okay, success. So I changed the gas limit.
Okay, but if I was charged by Visa for a failed transaction, over the principle of the matter, I'd want my $1.15 back. That's just how I am. I wouldn't write it off. How can that be?
Well, the thing is that your contract can do a lot of work before it runs out of gas. So they don't, if you wanted to get stuff done for free, you could have it do everything it needs to do and then just go into a loop and burn gas until it ran out.
Okay, so
you can get everything else done free.
Okay. I did just put up a contact for you just for your...
Oh, look at that. Gas... Oh. $1.13.
I put up in the chat a contact for you if you ever have a question. The guy was pretty helpful. And he's with Etherscan. He's like a coder for them. And
okay, so I got 4 block confirmations now, and it was $1.13. So we successfully created the Divvy token. And new contract created. This one. Okay, there's no transactions on this contract yet. This is my contract, I believe.
Newly created Divvy. The live one.
So if I go back to my wallet now, and I put in my new Divvy contract, I hash here, and I go to contract source, and I pick up my contract ABI. Holy mackerel. This contract can do a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Okay, and I replace, I stick in contract ABI here. Delete that, can't mess up. Okay, we got it all in there. And now we can hit access.
So anybody can now clone your coin.
Right.
Very cool.
Okay. Well,
what if you wanted to alter the code? Did you do that? Like, say, if
But just to
anybody...
be sure, let me try the name. It's Divvy.
Hey.
Okay, let's try generate tokens. Generate tokens, address.
This is where you do your supply.
All right, and the address, and I'm going to create tokens belonging to this contract.
Okay, so
It looks like I can generate tokens for anybody, but I can only do
what
it.
did you say?
Hmm?
Say that one more time.
It wants the owner address here. I can use any. I can generate tokens to anybody. I can generate tokens to your address. Okay, I'm God here. I can create tokens.
And you're going to send it to your own contract, is what I'm seeing.
I'm sending it to the contract itself.
So it can be loaded.
So that the Divvy token contract owns the Divvy tokens.
Gotcha. Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Now this is where you get to play.
That's what I did last week on the that's what I did last week on the in the sandbox. Now it's live. So this is a million tokens.
Does that mirror the spirit of the Divvy from the test net from like last summer and all that?
Well, we generated a million tokens there. When we went live, it wasn't clear how many we generated a million tokens for the pilot.
Gotcha. So this is a pretty relatively
and
low.
What I'm doing now, what I want to do is I want to get it off testnet.
Gotcha.
I want to make it live. So I'm generating the same million tokens for the pilot live.
Cool. Now I'm on the same page. Yay. That's kind of cool, man.
Right. So it comes up with this gas limit here. What?
You were about to mount.
I'm not going to send any ETH. Yeah.
Why would they even have that amount to send box? I don't get that.
Well, some contracts you send ETH, some you don't. And one of the first things in the contract is whether you can send ETH to it or not. Because, I mean, if you're trying to scam people, you let them send ETH even if it doesn't take ETH. But, if it's a reasonable contract, if it doesn't cost any ETH, you don't accept any. So that if somebody sends accidentally ETH, it gets rejected immediately. The first line of the code, I don't know if it would cost any gas, or it probably wouldn't cost any gas at all. If you tried to send ETH to a contract that said it doesn't accept ETH.
Now,
I'm sure transaction, 1 million ETH.
Hey, there's this Divvy. It's major accomplishment, man.
Yeah.
So
that's
when I made.
You can define for your token what the contract is to generate tokens, and so it'll call the contract, which could be multi-sig thing, could be something else.
Yeah, that makes sense the way that you're saying it, to do the multi-sig for just integrity, for the sake of because you got people doing work for Divvy and all that. But when I made my tokens, I just had to, kind of put them in a couple of different addresses, give them the supply, and, you got to use best practices, but I didn't have anybody to, look out for in terms of a multi-sig requirement. So that wasn't necessary. Divvy, I think that was the intention all along for that.
Okay, now you can see I have total supply of 1 million here.
Gotcha. That's very cool. So it really wasn't, it was just a matter of circumnavigating the Ether scan and a little bit, trial and error with the My Ether wallet. But in the end, it was really kind of a short process. Just, should probably the muscle memory and go back to trying it out. It doesn't look overly complex. Where I kind of was having a brain fart was I was thinking that you were going to create a supply upon when you cloned it, but that's after the fact.
Yippee-yi-yay. I think I will announce it. Divvy Rocket Chat, I guess.
It was interesting. I think lesson learned was that the My Ether wallet in combination with EtherScan was actually heck of a lot easier for the development side rather than having to go through the whole Ether Studio and all that. That doesn't mean that, for the actual coding and using the IDE, you skip out on that learning phase, but this was actually pretty user-friendly. Yeah, the My Ether wallet's pretty convenient. The people that made it, they did a pretty decent job. If they set the fees for it, who's to say they don't want to make $5 or $10? It's a pretty decent service for, being the Federal Reserve, or whatever application you're wanting to do with these tokens.
Sweet.
What if you had a Divvy tradable token that's like a sister token versus that supply, that you could launch Divvy tokens with this feature and run that through some exchanges?
Now, how do I...
Because if you did that, Jim, I know somebody where you could get Divvy listed. You could do that right through MetaMask, or you could just do it right through your browser. And you could literally start trading up against Ether and or DTV.
Well, what's it? There's one site where they'll list you right away where you can trade them.
Ether Delta is one of them.
Right, Ether Delta.
That's where I got my. Yeah, that's where I got my coins up there. It's pretty slick. I got one market there. You're seeing a little bit with the S and the BTC macro econ, but there's Amos Solutions where there's activity going on as far as creating a market, but not much going on with the Ether. And again, it just got listed a week ago, so it's kind of fun. It takes a little bit of learning, the red and the green and all that, but our markets are established. I think that if you just were able to create the Divvy and that's for the work, you ought to consider a possible Divvy trading coin. Kind of go right along it and create a market. I don't know why somebody couldn't take what you just did and do that, but I guess that would come down to their own supply. Like if you wanted to put your Divvy token on there, I don't know why you couldn't do that with Divvy. It's just I don't know if the group would want to trade those away. I don't think that's the intention of the multi-sig, to gamble it all away in the market. But as far as a trading token, you should try getting that name brand out there. I think that's what I'm going to try doing, is now that I saw how we just went through this lesson, to come back and try again because I failed on 2 tokens at Parity. This seemed relatively easy. And of course, we have a video that we can go back to, and we can like stumble across anything. At least I can follow step by step for till I get it right. So thank you very much for doing the study group and for the Zoom room. Too bad we couldn't get a couple more people to watch it, but one person had a chance to go surfing. She said she couldn't make it, but I think it was that happens on a weekend. What are you doing in the background?
Oh, I'm on my other screen here. I deleted my thing from Q&A. Apparently, they don't have a timeout on delete here or something. They let me delete it.
What's the problem there?
No problem.
Where does I mean, obviously there's a charitable deal there with minime and Giveth. What could you do?
You could run campaigns, which is the next step. Now, when I run a campaign, Divvy tokens. Oh. Slack doesn't take markdown.
So when you created those, and I saw you buy X amount of Giveth, that ownable contract. When you created yours, I mean, you still have the Giveth tokens, right?
What?
You still have the Giveth tokens that you bought earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. You just were able to utilize the contract because you kind enough to buy that. I guess that could be.
Yeah,
how,
you don't need any Giveth tokens to use these
Okay.
contracts.
but it's good to pay the developers forward, I guess, for their campaign. And I guess that could be the lesson learned here is that if you wanted to have a charitable contribution with the tokens you just created, you could say you could offer the same thing. Send in one ether for each one, and then they can clone it. Got enough money, then you could donate X amount to, if you wanted to do that with your campaign, back to Giveth or something to save the tigers or save the children. That is kind of unique as far as how campaigns can be ran in that regard.
So I thought I could create a campaign right from here.
That's through my Ether wallet, or is that through that's what you can do with the contract?
No. Okay, so this is all the.
Okay. I've never seen that part of my Ether wallet, so that's specific to the minime contract then.
Now, I wonder why this has a token factory in this contract.
Because it was the exact clone. And when you did the read source from the Ether scan previously,
so
you were able to get the token factory from that. So it's just a.
but usually you run the token factory token. This doesn't say clone token. Why would you call a token factory?
I take it it's just inherent in the code, and it comes with the whole package deal.
Create clone token.
Yeah. But you can also make tokens with what you want to do. So either you can do an exact clone of Divvy now, or in your case, you did an exact clone of the minime contract. If you wanted to do just a coupon portion or a voting portion of that contract, you then could do that through the token factory, or you can do an exact clone of the token.
I guess the thing I don't understand is when I run this stuff now, like when I get the if I get the total supply, for example, it gives me the answer, 1 million. It runs the contract. It doesn't ask me for a gas limit or anything. That's what I don't understand.
Would that be because?
Yes, because this is like read only. It doesn't have to generate a transaction.
Yeah, I don't see it as a transaction as much as that's what you're able to see. It's not running the transaction to look at that because it's on your side of the browser, I guess. Like the console of my Ether. I don't know if that's.
Well, it's actually running a method of the contract. But apparently it doesn't create a transaction to do that.
I think I don't know if that just means it's part of the Web3. It's like how MetaMask and all that's working, like my Ether wallet or the Parity console.
You mean that yeah. Oh yeah, this actually runs Ethereum in the browser,
Yeah.
where it's actually
Not
running.
really.
It's actually running Solidity code in the browser.
And therefore, not a transaction in that regard.
So it doesn't have to go out to. So it's only if it has to go out to the net that it
You pay.
that you pay, right? But what if I do? What if I do a transfer?
That would be a fee situation.
Transaction. It's smart enough.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's smart enough to know. Now I could send myself some divvy here. I can pay myself, but what you probably want to do is set up a wallet. I know. Well, I guess we're going to have to. These are still test tokens. We're going to have to recreate these at some point, but they're live.
Yeah. So it was a good lesson. I don't think it was as hard as, I mean, I think you just have to work the bugs out and just keep going and trial and error like everything else in life. But I don't think it was overly complicated. It's good to know that you have to create the supply after the fact, because I would have thought that would have been early on.
Yep. Well, that was my confusion last week.
I would say that the gal from My Ether Wallet, Kay or Kay Vander something, she'd be a good person to ask about that, or Griff might be about that.
I asked last week. I asked last week about that, and Griff just laughed at me, and Jordy answered, "Call generate tokens," and I said,
Well,
"How did I miss that method?" Because I looked through the code, but it was actually yeah. But what happened in the Ether camp is it was off my screen, and I didn't scroll down far enough to see the generate code.
but as far as the transaction in the gas, that was kind of confusing. We went on that for 10 minutes, baffled. I still don't understand why it would do that. How it could be true, and I guess it's just
why the limit changed. The default amount was, I ended up using like 4 times as much as the default amount. And, it's because generating the token with the token factor takes more gas than the average contract.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit, it's more intensive. So the default amount that my Ether wallet assigned wasn't enough. Now, I don't know where it gets the maximum from. That
$1.15 is still reasonably cheap entertainment these days.
Oh, you know where the maximum might have been? The maximum could have been based on how much Ether I have in the wallet. As I was putting in big numbers there, maybe it would spend all my remaining Ether. I mean, that's a lot. But it was big numbers. It was probably more than the Ether I had.
I have a question. Just because we just went through that process, and it's related to parity, and I deployed tokens, although this didn't have that step at all. When I did my generation of the deployment and the balance that it showed at deployment, it went through as the correct amount that I intended on issuing.
They weren't minime tokens.
No, they were not.
Most tokens, you can give the total supply when you create it, and you set a flag as to whether you can never create more or not.
Yeah, and it showed up as correct, but when I went through the transfer and the registry shows 0, and the balance shows 0 in my wallet. So I got a failure going on, and I don't know why it would show the correct one at deployment, yet the registry and the balance shows something different. Would you have any idea how that could be? You set it for 100.
I'd have to see it.
Yeah.
All right, listen, it's been fun.
Okay, I appreciate it. I learned something. I think I'm going to go take my, well, I got that Giveth. Now I can go right through the MyEther wallet and give it a whirl. I think I can figure it out. And if not, I'll look out for this video. Remember to edit that part off or scrap it all together, because you've got that situation you need to resolve, and get rid of that and edit.
Yeah, I hate to have to, I hate editing videos, but I should bite the bullet and edit the video down. Take out all the garbage.
Yeah. Or transfer all of the coins out of it and just put it down. You know what I mean? Just transfer all of that and just don't use that wallet anymore. But just be aware of it.
Well, that address created the divvies. So,
yeah, but you now have a new address, and as long as there's no tokens on there, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Right, but the thing is, right, but the way I do that is I just create. Well, I could just send the tokens to another address. That's true.
And then you don't have to edit the video.
But you know, the contract should have. I think the contract does need to have Divvy for some tokens for some of the functionality. I'm not sure, but like when I do the transfer, it's to an amount. It doesn't ask where from.
Okay.
So it's from the contract. If I do a transfer, if I do a transfer from, then it asks me for an address. But if I just do a transfer, it assumes from the contract.
Thanks to the learning curve on that one, it was ended up being good, even though just the two of us. But you know,
Yeah,
hopefully we can get more people to show up, or just do what we can. But,
well, this morning we ended up having an Archain Noob session at the OpenID session, because OpenID people didn't show up. Only Gary showed up. And it was very successful, and I posted the video.
cool.
That's when we got this, when we sort of got the Rosette web service working.
It's interesting to see how all these projects are meshing together.
Oh, we're still recording.
So
All right, let me turn off the recording.